So hi, everybody, and thanks for joining us today. Whenever that is that you join us, whether it's in the present time or in whether you're watching this after the fact. My name is Jessica Ryder. I'm a mental health counselor at the University of Michigan-Dearborn Counseling and Psychological Services. That also goes by the name CAPS. Earlier in my life, I was also a professional singer, a classical singer, and because of that training and that profession, I had to learn early on. I really had to learn to take care of myself. And so self-care has been an area of interest for me throughout my life, and even more so now that I'm a counselor. I get very interested in how to convey simple, easy things that we can do for ourselves and convey to our friends and family to take care of ourselves ongoing. And I'm joined today by my good friend and collaborator, Rachel Ackerman. Rachel,
hi, Jessica.
Hi. It's so good to see you, even if it's virtual.
Yes.
Rachel is a brilliant massage therapist, the certified massage therapist, and she's been in practice in Southeast Michigan for 20, 25 years, something like that.
Yeah, I think it's about 22, 23 years that I've been in Michigan. Yep.
Mm-hmm. And so she knows what she's doing. She is also a certified heart math trainer. And today, that heart math is some really brilliant work that's been around for about 2 or 3 decades. It's so simple and so accessible and wonderful for addressing particularly anxiety, which I don't know, if you're living on planet Earth right now, you probably are experiencing anxiety. So I'm really delighted that Rachel is going to give us an introduction to step us through the front door of heart math. So
Great.
Over to you, Rachel.
Thank you, Jessica, and thank you for inviting me to be here today. Heart math is something that I studied about 5 years ago and became certified in. And like you, I've been studying lots of different self-care techniques for 2 or 3 decades now. And I have to say heart math is one of my favorite to teach and to also practice because it is so easy and accessible. It's basically a series of self-regulation techniques that allow us to shift our physiological and emotional state of being into a more coherent state.
Okay, self-regulation. Could you explain a little more about what that means?
Sure. So what happens when we're stressed out, our heart rhythms become chaotic, and it creates an incoherence in our bodies. So if our heart is that chaotic, then the circulatory system becomes inefficient, so to speak, and it's not communicating well with our hormonal system or our respiratory system. And so self-regulation is a way of reorganizing or rebalancing your systems. Does that make sense?
So getting all the different body systems to talk to each other and come into alignment is kind of like that?
Yes,
exactly. And we can do that for ourselves, is what you're saying?
Yeah. And there's lots of different ways that people do this naturally. Like even sometimes if you find yourself just letting out a sigh or a deep breath, that actually is a way that we are just naturally self-regulating and saying, oh, okay, I want to come back into balance. And the heart math is a really brilliant way of doing this anywhere. Like, if meditators are self-regulating too, but most of us are not master meditators. And if you're traveling or, if you're studying for your exam or taking a test, there's, it's not like you can go and sit on a cushion and meditate. And the beauty of heart math and these techniques, the couple that I want to share with you today, is that you can do it in the middle of an exam, so to speak.
Oh, how cool is that?
Yeah, and the other piece that I really love about the heart math approach is that it's actually been studied. And so it's been studied for about 3 decades now. So about 30 years, they've been studying these techniques and the effects that they have. And what they have, and the coherence that I was talking about is actually measurable. And it's been shown to increase mental focus, which I'm sure all the students will appreciate. And, you know, people
Not just
working on the,
students, let me tell you.
yeah, all of us can appreciate better mental focus. It helps with our memory, our health. It has helped to decrease anxiety, and they've done a lot of work with people that experience PTSD or ADD or ADHD, and found that this is a really effective tool for all of these.
Wow.
Yeah.
So bring it on.
I'm with you, girl. So this is what I want to teach is the foundation of all of the other breathing techniques that heart math builds on. And it's called heart focused breathing. It involves 2 steps. One is that you put your awareness in your heart area. So it could be the physical heart, the emotional heart, the energetic heart, whatever it is that is easy for you to access. So yeah, just like you're doing, I like to start by putting my hand in the heart area. It can just be right on top of the sternum, the chest area. If it's better for you to put it right on where the anatomical heart is, go for it. But the idea is just to put your awareness there, and then you simply slow your breath down. It doesn't have to be this exaggerated deep breathing, but very, just a slower breath than normal, but something you can maintain. So if you don't, do you have any questions about that, Jessica, before we start?
Do I have to put my hand here?
No, you don't have to.
Okay.
I just suggest that when people are learning, just so that it helps you bring your awareness there. But you know, once you're comfortable with it, the idea is that then you can tap into this technique if you're, you know, studying or taking a test. Yeah, but you don't have to. It's just a suggestion.
Before we go any further, I wonder if you tilt your screen down, we could see maybe where that's. Oh yeah. Thank you.
So that's what feels comfortable to me. But you know, even just putting a finger just right on your sternum, sometimes that's nice too. Whatever it is that kind of what the hand does when you're first starting is it keeps your attention there, which is really what we want to do. That's really the purpose of that.
Okay.
Yeah. So if you don't have any other questions, what I'd like to do is just practice this for 30 seconds.
Yes, please.
Okay.
So what am I doing?
So you're going to put your hand on your heart area, and then just slow your breath down to a comfortable inhale and exhale. And as you find that comfortable breath, just notice the flow of your breath in and out of your heart area, or feel the rise and fall of your chest as you inhale and exhale. So that's about 30 seconds. How did that feel for you, Jessica?
Well, it felt really nice.
Yeah.
I kind of felt like my shoulders were starting to relax a little bit.
Yeah, yeah. And that was just for 30 seconds.
All right.
So you can imagine if you practice this for a minute or two, that things really start to shift. And for those that may watch this later and maybe would have a question about that, it's not unusual for people not to even notice anything, and that's okay too. Like there's no right or wrong. Like for you, maybe your shoulders relaxed a little bit, right? But that's not the case for everyone. So I just want to to let people know that that's okay.
I got a little busy kind of thinking about, well, am I doing this right? And what's supposed to happen and all of that stuff.
Yeah, and that's totally normal too. And I just help, and that's okay. The idea is just notice that. And when you notice your mind, starting to question whether you're doing it right, just bring your attention back to your breath and then back to the heart. And
Okay.
it gets easier. And that's why at the beginning, I usually recommend people just do it for a minute or two at a
Okay.
time rather than try and jump in and do it for 5 or 10 minutes.
Okay.
Right from the beginning. So, yeah, do you want to try it again before
Yeah,
we
I'd
move
like
on?
to.
Okay, so just put your hand where it's comfortable and allow your breath to deepen a little bit to a comfortable, easy breath.
So how long are we doing it this time?
Oh, thank you. Just for another 30 seconds. Let's just
okay.
try it again for 30
Okay.
seconds.
Okay.
And just feel the breath as it moves in and out of the heart area. And if you find your mind wandering, that's okay. Just bring it back to your breath and back to the heart. And that's it. The other, I just noticed, I do want to notice how you're feeling. And I do want to mention one of the other questions that I get a lot is, do we breathe in and out of our nose or do we breathe in and out of our mouth? It really doesn't matter. It's whatever is comfortable for you. I usually recommend that people practice it with breathing in and out of the nose, because once you get comfortable with it and you want to use it in maybe a more public setting, it won't be obvious that you're going into the heart-focused breathing. And I also recommend that people practice with their eyes open or looking at something that's beautiful to them. So you can, if there's a tree outside, like for me, I love looking at the trees. So I look at the trees and practice, but you could pull up something on your computer screen like that just makes you feel good, and you can practice doing it that way too.
Mm-hmm. I noticed that the second time it started to feel a little more familiar to me. And then when you said something about doing it out in public, I was like, oh, if I don't even have to put my hand there, nobody even has to know that I'm doing this.
Exactly. I can't even tell you how many times I have used, and I love my family. I have a great relationship with them, but I can't even tell you how many times I have used this just at family gatherings, because my family is big and crowds or the big gatherings exhaust me, so and stress me out. So I'll just sink into that while I'm with them, and it's definitely allowed me to enjoy the family gatherings more.
Well, I was imagining standing in a grocery line, 6 feet apart from each other, and feeling kind of anxious about being in the grocery store and just going into that heart awareness and the breathing. I think that would be very comforting.
Yeah, it's amazing. This morning, right before we did this, I actually did go do my weekly run to the grocery store, and I could feel the anxiety building before I was going out. So even before I got in my car, I just stood and did this for like 2 minutes and said, okay, like, let's come back to center, come back to that. And then before I even left my house, and then before I walked into the grocery store, I did it again this morning.
Cool. So you're bringing yourself into that thing you were describing as coherence, bringing your body into a state of coherence before you enter that stressful situation.
Exactly. So
and then you can do it again while you're in the stressful situation.
Exactly. Exactly. But it's like, I'll use this as a a preparatory type
Yeah.
of move, and
Yeah.
then I can do it in the moment. And then actually when I got back in the car, I just took a couple deep breaths again,
Okay.
shake off any stress of going to the grocery store.
Okay.
Yeah.
So can we do
Yeah.
some more?
Yes, yes, absolutely. What I would love to build on this is a technique called quick coherence, because what we have found is that our heart and our bodies respond quicker when we connect with an uplifting emotion. So we do the heart-focused breathing. It starts the same, and then you connect to a feeling of gratitude or calm or peace. You know, I'm thinking right now that the students that may be watching this will be getting ready for their finals, and just that light at the end of the tunnel of like, okay, we're almost through this piece. We've managed to figure out how to do our classes online, which has been
Yep.
crazy stressful for everybody I talk to.
Yep.
And you know, you're almost to the finish line with this piece.
That
And
is
so
really
just,
something to be grateful for.
yes, I do remember being a college student. I'm old, but I'm not that old. My memory hasn't failed me. And so I'm thinking that that might be a point of gratitude for a lot of students right now.
Sure.
So what the quick coherence, like I said, you do the heart focused breathing, you put your awareness in your heart area, you deepen your breath, and then you connect to that uplifting emotion, such as gratitude. So go ahead and put your awareness in the heart area, however you want to do that. Allow your breath to deepen just a little bit, and we'll just do this for maybe a minute. Let's try it for a minute this time. And as your breath deepens and you become aware of the flow of your breath in and out of your heart.
So I'm thinking of, I'm planning to talk to some people I love on Zoom on Sunday. So is that like a good image to bring in?
Absolutely, okay. Absolutely. Whatever brings you joy. So, and it's really about connecting to the feeling more than the thought. So it's like, oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And bring that feeling into your breath and then into your heart, and let your heart fill with that feeling. And we'll just do this for maybe another 30 seconds. And just notice how that felt to do that. And the difference, if there is any difference for you between doing just the heart-focused breathing and the quick coherence.
Well, the big difference for me was, wow, is 30 seconds up already? The first time I was wondering, so how long are we going? And this time it just felt, it felt more natural.
Yeah, yeah.
Like I'm getting the hang of it, and I also love connecting to that feeling.
Yeah, yeah. It's amazing how quickly we get used to doing it. And I will sometimes sit down and think, I'm just going to do this for a couple minutes. And then all of a sudden it's 10 or 15 minutes later. But that, of course, is after, you know, several years of practicing this. At first, I would put on a little timer so that I'd make sure that I was doing it for 2 or 3 minutes at a time. So that, but after I got more and more comfortable with it, it's like sometimes I just totally lose track of time when I'm doing my heart breathing.
And I like that we're learning this here now, because I don't know about you, but I'm not feeling especially anxious right now. But if I practice this and make friends with this practice, then I can, you know, it's like reaching for a familiar friend when I'm standing there in that grocery line or taking that exam.
Yes. Well, the other piece of, do we have time to keep going a little bit more?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. Because the other part of the science part of it that really gives me motivation to do this, and especially when I'm around other people, is that we have a field around our bodies that radiates from our bodies that can be measured.
Oh,
And
that electromagnetic field, you mean?
yes,
Yes.
exactly. Just like, our cell phones and the tools that we have now to measure that have been able to measure a field as much as 3 feet away from our body that is radiating from us.
Really? Wow.
And the beauty, or the thing that I find fascinating, is the heart organ radiates 100 times farther than any other organ in our body. So the
Oh,
heart organ is the one that's radiating the farthest away from us. And that's one of the reasons that in heart math, we focus our attention in the heart, because if we can get our heart radiating a beautiful feeling, then it's filling up the whole field. It's not only creating alignment in our body and coherence in our body, but it's filling up the whole field around us. And so if you're out in public, if you're at the grocery store, and even though we're 6 feet apart right now, we're radiating that energy, that field, and other people are interacting with it. I mean, we're all insanely aware right now of these invisible germs.
right.
And it's the same type of thing. This is an invisible field, but it exists, and we've been able to measure it. And so when we, and a lot of the research has shown that when our field is filled with an uplifting emotion, and if I come across you, Jessica, and you're feeling anxious, your field will calm down. They've been able to measure that. And
Wow.
and
So
your
it's like they get in sync.
yes, and your field is going to become calmer and more coherent. It's just like I don't know if the younger generation still uses the word, vibe, but we all said,
We
you'd
sure
go into
do.
a room and it's like, if there's a good vibe or a bad vibe, right? That's what this is. It's like you sometimes walk in someplace, like right now, because I'm so empathic, I can go into the fear. For me is more about feeling everyone else's anxiety.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm trying to take in, some calm into that anxiety.
Oh, so you're not just bringing your own calm in, you're also, without even trying, you're offering a vibe of calm to anybody that, whose field you might come in
Right.
contact with. So if we're
So,
standing 6 feet away and the heart is vibrating 3 feet out and somebody else is vibrating 3 feet out, those are going to touch,
exactly.
They have an
And,
effect.
you and I live, because I know what your house looks like. You know what my house looks like, because we are friends outside of this. You and I live in these little bubbles that we can create where we're, maybe we have a lot of space just to relax. But I'm imagining that, and I do know a lot of people that are contacting me these days are in, small apartments or living in a house with, 5 other people, and they don't have the privacy that you and I have.
Yeah, and they might be living with people they don't even get along with that well.
Right. And so just doing this at home is going to uplift the energy of your house or your apartment right now, for not only for yourself, but for everyone that
Wonderful.
you're living with. So it's a great practice.
Didn't you tell me something about the communication between the brain and the heart?
Yes, thank you for reminding me about that. So the other piece that we have discovered in the last couple decades is that the heart actually has its own neurological system that acts like a brain. So neurocardiologists refer to this as the heart brain.
Wow.
And so it's like we have a head brain, a heart brain, and a topic for another discussion is we also have a gut brain.
Right.
But our heart brain is actually sending twice as many signals to the head brain than the head brain is to the heart brain.
Right.
And so when we get that uplifting emotion into our heart, it's sending that message to the brain like, oh, we're really grateful. And it's like a shortcut to to calming the nervous system.
Right.
Rather than going through the head and thinking, I'm calm, I'm calm, I'm calm, you're bringing the feeling into the heart, and the heart can then tell the brain, which can then send the signals to the rest of the body.
That is so cool.
Yeah, I love that.
And that makes sense out of the name, quick coherence.
Yes, yes, exactly, exactly. So one of the things I'd like to suggest for anyone that's listening and wants to practice this is to set an intention of practicing either the heart-focused breathing or the quick coherence, maybe 3 times a day, 2 or 3 for 2 or 3 minutes at a time. That's it. But the other part of the research that is really exciting is that it has shown that just after doing this for 10 minutes a day, cumulative, it doesn't have to be 10 minutes all at the same time, but if we just do this for 10 minutes throughout our day, it's enough to counteract the negative effects of the stress, so of the cortisol and the adrenaline that's running through our bodies from being under stress. And the heart-focused breathing and the quick coherence are releasing DHEA and other chemicals that create calm and peace in our bodies.
Well, how timely is that? Because all those stress hormones tend to, they do impede your immune system. So
Yes.
if we can counteract that, and just get the immune system into that overall coherence, that's a big win.
It's huge. It's huge, right? Because it's a way of boosting our immune system at the same time. So you're creating some calm and some centeredness and coherence in your body and the field around your body, but you're also boosting your immune system, which is
cool.
a beautiful thing right now.
Let's do some more.
Okay, great. So let's just do, what do you want to do, a minute or so?
Yeah, I think we're ready for a minute.
Okay, great. So just put your hand on your heart area, or not if you don't feel this anymore. And allow your breath to come into a comfortable, easy, deep, slower breath than normal. And feel the flow of your breath through your heart area. And if it's available to you, connect to that feeling of gratitude or joy, peace, whatever it is that you want to bring in right now. And feel that flowing through your breath down to the heart area. And just notice how this feels in your body and your mind. And before you stop, just in this moment, set an intention to carry this feeling with you for the rest of your day, and to set an intention to continue to practice this. You may want to put a little sticky note on your computer or set a timer that says, oh, HFB, which for me stands for heart-focused breathing. That's the initials I use for it. Something that will remind you. I've had people tie ribbons around their steering wheels. Of course, we're not driving much anymore, but that is whatever will help you remember. Or maybe while you're washing your hands, you put a little note there that says, remember to do your heart-focused breathing now. That's a good time. You're up from your computer. Yeah.
And I see how easy it will become to integrate it into so many activities throughout the day.
Yeah, it's great. You know what, like I taught this to my 80-plus-year-old parents who got it right away. And I just feel like if I could teach it to them like and they do it. I can do it. I can, and it's helped. My mom has chronic pain, and it's really helped diminish her pain
Wonderful.
and allowed her to be on less medication.
Wonderful.
Yeah. So before we sign off, unless do you have any other questions? I want to mention a couple resources that are available for free.
Oh, please do. Please do.
Yeah. So anyone that is interested in finding out more about the research, there's a whole archive that is available at heartmath.org. So HeartMath is all one word. And this is a great site for accessing the research. So if you're interested in HeartMath on how to use these techniques with ADD and the results, you can just type in the archives, ADD, and it will show you a list of research that's been done with that, or diabetes, or there's all sorts of education research that's been done on the effectiveness of this in the classroom and in test taking. And then the other resource I want to make sure I mention is that HeartMath has just announced this week that they are making available for free a whole training video that they produced last year that is normally $30. And I was just watching it the other night to see what it's like, and it's very well done and very easy to follow. And you can access that and get access to the free video at experience.heartmath.com.
Okay.
And
I've just put both of those in the chat. I don't know whether they will be sustained in the replay. I don't know whether you can read chat in the replay, but I'll follow up with posting a resource at some place on the CAPS website. It'll say HeartMath on it.
Great. Do you have anything else, Jessica, that you...
Oh, this has just been great. I really appreciate you bringing your presence and your lightness of spirit and transmit, and your enjoyment of this work is and your ability to communicate. I mean, you've really done this work, and you've experienced what it can do, and you've seen what it can do for others. So that's very very encouraging, and definitely encourages me to keep up with it.
Yeah, no, I do. I am very passionate about this. I teach it to almost all my clients when I'm working with my clients one-on-one, and anyone that is willing to listen to me talk about it, I love sharing. So thank you for this opportunity to share it with a wider audience.
Great.
Yeah.
So Rachel and I will be back next week. Honestly, I can't remember what title I put on next week's, but I know what it's about. It's about what we could think of as mental hygiene. So we have physical hygiene. We're all washing our hands like crazy these days, but we also need to take care of what's going on in our heads and keep things clear and keep a clear mind, which connects to that light heart. So this is a great way to continue on from the seeds that we've planted here today. So I hope you'll join us next week at 11, and there will also be a replay of that one as well.
Yeah, great. Okay. Thank you, Jessica.
Thank you, Rachel.
Bye-bye.